Greater Sudbury is a city in Ontario, Canada, which was founded following the discovery of nickel ore by Tom Flanagan, a Canadian Pacific Railway blacksmith in 1883, when the Transcontinental Railway was near completion. Greater Sudbury was formed in 2001 by merging the cities and towns of the former Regional Municipality of Sudbury with several previously unincorporated geographic townships. It is the largest city in Northern Ontario by population and the 24th largest metropolitan area in Canada. By land area, it is the largest city in Ontario and the 7th largest municipality by area in Canada. Sudbury, as it is commonly known, is administratively separate and thus not part of any district, county, or regional municipality. Sudbury has a humid continental climate with warm and often hot summers and long, cold, snowy winters. The population resides in an urban core and many smaller communities scattered around 300 lakes and among hills of rock blackened by historical smelting activity. Sudbury was once a major lumber centre and a world leader in nickel mining. Mining and related industries dominated the economy for much of the 20th century. The two major mining companies which shaped the history of Sudbury were Inco, now Vale, which employed more than 25% of the population by the 1970s, and Falconbridge, now Glencore Xstrata. Sudbury has since expanded from its resource-based economy to emerge as the major retail, economic, health and educational centre for Northeastern Ontario. Sudbury is also home to a large Franco-Ontarian population that influences its arts and culture. History: the Sudbury region was sparsely inhabited by the Ojibwa people of the Algonquin group as early as 9,000 years ago following the retreat of the last continental ice sheet. The land was first occupied by Europeans when the Jesuits established a mission called St. Anne's Pins just before the construction of the Canadian Pacific Railway in 1883. The St. Anne's Pins Church played a prominent role in the development of Franco-Ontarian culture in the region. During construction of the railway in 1883, blasting and excavation revealed high concentrations of nickel-copper ore at Murray Mine on the edge of the Sudbury Basin. This discovery brought the first waves of European settlers, who arrived not only to reap the benefits of the mines, but also to build a service station for railway workers. The community was named for Sudbury, Suffolk, in England, which was the hometown of Canadian Pacific Railway Commissioner James Worthington's wife. Sudbury was incorporated as a town in 1893, and its first mayor was Stephen Fournier. Thomas Edison visited the Sudbury area as a prospector in 1901, and is credited with the original discovery of the ore body at Falconbridge, and rich deposits of nickel sulfide ore were discovered in the Sudbury Basin geological formation. The construction of the railway allowed exploitation of these mineral resources as well as large-scale lumber extraction. Mining began to replace lumber as the primary industry as improvements to the area's transportation network, including trams, made it possible for workers to live in one community and work in another. Sudbury's unregistered trademark economy was dominated by the mining industry for much of the 20th century. Two major mining companies were created, Inco in 1902 and Falconbridge in 1928. They became two of the city's unregistered trademark's major employers and two of the world's leading producers of nickel. Through the decades that followed, Sudbury's economy went through boom and bust cycles as world demand for nickel fluctuated. Demand was high during the First World War when Sudbury mine nickel was used extensively in the manufacturing of artillery in Sheffield, England. It bottomed out when the war ended and then rose again in the mid-1920s as peacetime uses for nickel began to develop. The town was reincorporated as a city in 1930. The city recovered from the Great Depression much more quickly than almost any other city in North America due to increased demand for nickel in the 1930s. Sudbury was the fastest-growing city and one of the wealthiest cities in Canada for most of the decade. Many of the city's social problems in the Great Depression era were not caused by unemployment, but due to the difficulty in keeping up with all of its new infrastructure demands created by rapid growth. Between 1936 and 1941, the city was ordered into receivership by the Ontario Municipal Board. Another economic slowdown affected the city in 1937, but the city's fortunes rose again during the Second World War. The Frood mine alone accounted for 40% of all the nickel used in Allied artillery production during the war. After the end of the war, Sudbury was in a good position to supply nickel to the United States government when it decided to stockpile non-Soviet supplies during the Cold War. Compounded by open coke beds in the early to mid-20th century and logging for fuel, the area suffered a near-total loss of native vegetation. Consequently, the region became blanketed with exposed rocky outcrops permanently stained charcoal black, first by the air pollution from the roasting yards, then by the acid rain in a layer which penetrates up to 3 inches into the once pink-grey granite. The construction of the Inco superstack in 1972 dispersed sulfuric acid over a much wider area, reducing the acidity of local precipitation and enabling the city to begin an environmental recovery program. In the late 1970s, private and public interests combined to establish a regreening effort. Lime was spread over the charred soil by hand and by aircraft. Seeds of wild grasses and other vegetation were also spread. As of 2010, 9.2 million new trees have been planted in the city. Vale has begun to rehabilitate the slag heaps that surrounding their smelter and the Copper Cliff area with the planting of grass and trees. In 1978, the workers of Sudbury's largest mining corporation, Inco, embarked on a strike over production and employment cutbacks. The strike, which lasted for 9 months, badly damaged Sudbury's economy and spurred the city government to launch a project to diversify the city's economy. Through an aggressive strategy, the city tried to attract new employers and industries through the 1980s and 1990s. The city of Sudbury and its suburban communities, which were reorganized into the Regional Municipality of Sudbury in 1973, was subsequently merged in 2001 into the single-tier city of Greater Sudbury. In 2006, both of the city's major mining companies, Canadian-based Inco and Falconbridge, were taken over by new owners. Inco was acquired by the Brazilian company CVRD, while Falconbridge was purchased by the Swiss company Xstrata, which itself was purchased by Anglo-Euro-Swiss Glencore, forming Glencore Xstrata. Xstrata donated the historic Edison Building, the one-time head office of Falconbridge, to the city in 2007 to serve as the new home of the municipal archives. On September 19, 2008, a fire destroyed the historic Sudbury Steelworkers Hall on Frood Road. A strike at Vale's operations, which began on July 13, 2009, and saw a tentative resolution announced on July 5, 2010, lasted longer than the devastating 1978 strike, but had a much more modest effect on the city's economy than the earlier action. The local rate of unemployment declined slightly during the strike. The ecology of the Sudbury region has recovered dramatically, helped by regreening programs and improved mining practices. The United Nations honored 12 cities in the world, including Sudbury, with the Local Government Honours Award at the 1992 Earth Summit honoring the city's community-based environmental reclamation strategies. By 2010, the regreening programs had successfully rehabilitated 3,350 hectares of land in the city. However, approximately 30,000 hectares of land have yet to be rehabilitated. Geography. Sudbury has 330 lakes over 10 hectares within the city limits. The most prominent is Lake Wanapitei, the largest lake in the world completely contained within the boundaries of a single city. Lake Ramsey, a few kilometers south of downtown Sudbury, held the same record before the municipal amalgamation in 2001 brought Lake Wanapitei fully inside the city limits. Sudbury is divided into 2 main watersheds. To the east is the French River watershed which flows into Georgian Bay, and to the west is the Spanish River watershed which flows into Lake Huron. Sudbury is built around many small, rocky mountains with exposed igneous rock of the Canadian Shield. The ore deposits in Sudbury are part of a large geological structure known as the Sudbury Basin, which are the remnants of a nearly 2-billion-year-old impact crater. Long thought to be the result of a meteorite collision, more recent analysis has suggested that the crater may in fact have been created by a comet. Sudbury's pentlandite, pyrite and pyrrhotite ores contain profitable amounts of many elements, primarily nickel and copper, but also platinum, palladium and other valuable metals. Local smelting of the ore releases this sulfur into the atmosphere where it combines with water vapor to form sulfuric acid, contributing to acid rain. As a result, Sudbury is widely known as a wasteland. In parts of the city, vegetation was devastated by acid rain and logging to provide fuel for early smelting techniques. To a lesser extent, the area's ecology was also impacted by lumber camps in the area providing wood for the reconstruction of Chicago after the Great Chicago Fire of 1871. While other logging areas in northeastern Ontario were also involved in that effort, the emergence of mining-related processes in the following decade made it significantly harder for new trees to grow to full maturity in the Sudbury area than elsewhere. The resulting erosion exposed bedrock in many parts of the city, which was charred in most places to a pitted, dark black appearance. There was not a complete lack of vegetation in the region as paper birch and wild blueberry patches thrived in the acidic soils. During the Apollo manned lunar exploration program, NASA astronauts trained in Sudbury to become familiar with impact breccia and shatter cones, rare rock formations produced by large meteorite impacts. However, the popular misconception that they were visiting Sudbury because it purportedly resembled the lifeless surface of the moon persists. The city's Nickel District Conservation Authority operates a conservation area, the Lake Laurentian Conservation Area, in the city's south end. Other unique environmental projects in the city include the Fielding Bird Sanctuary, a protected area along Highway 17 near Lively that provides a managed natural habitat for birds, and a hiking and nature trail near Coniston, which is named in honor of scientist Jane Goodall. 6 provincial parks and 2 provincial conservation reserves are also located partially or entirely within the city boundaries. Climate: Greater Sudbury has a humid continental climate. This region has warm and often hot summers with long, cold and snowy winters. It is situated north of the Great Lakes, making it prone to Arctic air masses. Monthly precipitation is equal year-round with snow cover expected 6 months of the year. Although extreme weather events are rare, one of the worst tornadoes in Canadian history struck the city and its suburbs on August 20, 1970, killing 6 people, injuring 200. And causing over $17 million Canadian dollars in damages. Demographics: Greater Sudbury is the most populous municipality and census metropolitan area in northern Ontario. In the 2011 census, the city's population increased to 160,274, a growth of 1.5% over the 2006 population of 157,857. The median age is 41.1 years, slightly higher than the provincial average of 39.0 years. The census metropolitan area of Greater Sudbury consists of the city and the adjacent First Nations reserves of Warner-Pite and Whitefish Lake. As the Warner-Pite First Nation is an enclave within the city boundaries, it is also counted as part of Greater Sudbury's census division population of 160,376. This figure excludes Whitefish Lake, which is part of the separate Sudbury district. In the 2011 census, 6 distinct population centres, or urban areas, were listed within the city: Sudbury, comprising the portion of the pre-amalgamation city of Sudbury lying north of Highway 17 and Highway 69, as well as the neighbourhoods of Azilda and Chelmsford in the former town of Rayside Balfour, and the neighbourhoods of Garson and Falconbridge in the former town of Nickel Centre. Capraroll, comprising the main populated area in the former town of Capraroll. Dowling, comprising the neighbourhood of Dowling in the former town of Ernaping Falls. Lively, comprising the neighbourhoods of Lively, Waters, Mikola and Norton in the former town of Walden. Ernaping-Levack, comprising the neighbourhoods of Ernaping and Levack in the former town of Ernaping Falls. And Valley East, comprising the neighbourhoods of Valcaron, Blizzard Valley, Valfa Copyright Rase and Homer in the former city of Valley East. In total, these 6 population centres have 141,446 residents, or 88% of the city's total population. The remaining 12% of the city's population, 18,828 people, live in more rural areas within the city limits for which distinct population statistics were not published separately from those for the city as a whole. Sudbury is a bilingual city with a large francophone population. Some 80.1% of the population speak mostly English at home, followed by French at 16.3%, which is higher than the Ontario average of 2.4%. According to the 2011 National Household Survey, the residents of Greater Sudbury are predominantly Christian. Around 81% of the population claims adherence to Christian denominations with a Roman Catholic majority. Those with no religious affiliation accounted for 18% of the population. Other religions such as Islam, Judaism, and Hinduism constitute around 1% of the population. There are also few visible minorities in Sudbury when compared to the Canadian average of 19.1%. As of 2011, the population of Sudbury is less educated than the Canadian average, with 17.2% of the population holding a university degree and 18.1% with no certificate, diploma or degree. Economy. After a brief period as a lumber camp, Sudbury's unregistered trademark S economy was dominated by the mining industry for much of the 20th century. By the 1970s, Inco employed a quarter of the local workforce. However, in 2006, Inco and Falconbridge were taken over by foreign multinational corporations. Inco was acquired by the Brazilian company Vale, and Falconbridge was purchased by the Swiss company Xstrata, which was in turn purchased by Anglo-Euro-Swiss Glencore, forming Glencore Xstrata. Several other mining companies, including First Nickel and KGHM, also have mining operations in the Sudbury area. Mining now employs only 6,000 people in the city, although the mining supply and service sector employs a further 10,000. By 2006, 80% of Greater Sudbury's labor force was employed in services, with 20% remaining in manufacturing. Over 345 mining supply and service companies are located in Sudbury. This includes a number of public and private firms pursuing research and development in new mining technologies such as Mining Innovation Rehabilitation and Applied Research Corporation, the Northern Centre for Advanced Technology, and the Centre for Excellence in Mining Innovation. While mining has decreased in relative importance, Sudbury's unregistered trademark S economy has diversified to establish itself as a major centre of finance, business, tourism, healthcare, education, government, and science and technology research. Many of these reflect Sudbury's unregistered trademark S position as a regional service centre for Northeastern Ontario, a market of 550,000 people. The top employers in Sudbury as of November 2010 include, retail businesses in the city has moved outside of the downtown core in the late 20th century, and the city has struggled to maintain a vibrant downtown. Projects aimed at revitalizing the downtown core included the creation of Market Square, a farmers and craft market. The redevelopment of the Rainbow Centre Mall. Streetscape beautification projects. The conversion of several underutilized historic properties into mixed-use office and loft developments. And the creation of the Downtown Village Development Corporation, a not-for-profit organization dedicated to business attraction and downtown residential development, as well as Downtown Sudbury BIA, the Business Improvement Area Association. Downtown Sudbury promotes the city's core through policy development, advocacy, economic development and special events, such as Downtown Rotary Blues for Food, Sudbury's largest yard and sidewalk sale, and Downtown Sudbury Rib Fest. Despite these efforts, retail is concentrated outside of the downtown core at the new Sudbury Centre, the largest shopping mall in Northern Ontario with 110 stores. Sudbury's economy is also influenced by science and technology sectors. The Creighton mine site in Sudbury is home to the Sudbury Neutrino Observatory. Although the original experiments have now concluded, the underground laboratory has been enlarged and continues to operate other experiments at Snowlab. It will be the world's deepest underground lab facility. The Deeper Cola Goldfields experiments ended with the closing of the mine in 1992, and the planned DUSEL laboratory is not expected to begin construction before 2012. The SNO equipment has been refurbished for use in the SNO Plus experiment. Arts and culture. The Sudbury Arts Council was established in 1974. Its mandate is to connect, communicate and celebrate the arts. It has an important role to provide a calendar of events and news about arts and culture activities. The city is home to two art galleries, the Art Gallery of Sudbury and La Galerie du Nouvel Ontario. Both are dedicated primarily to Canadian art, especially artists from Northern Ontario. The city's two professional theatre companies are the Anglophone Sudbury Theatre Centre and the Francophone Centre du Nouvel Ontario. The STC has its own theatre venue downtown, while the TNO stages its productions at La Solandra Copyright Payment, a venue located on the campus of Collège Ebora Copyright AL. Theatre productions are also staged by students at Laurentian University's affiliated Thornloe faculty, by a community theatre company at Cambrian College, as well as by high school drama students at Sudbury Secondary School, Llewellyn Park Secondary School, St. Charles College and a Permale Cole Secondary Macdonald Cartier with its troupe Les Travers. An annual film festival, Cine Copyright Fest, is also held in the city each September. Sudbury also has numerous community theatre companies throughout the city, including its first and only for charity theatre company, UP Theatre. Sudbury's culture is influenced by the large Franco-Ontarian community consisting of approximately 40% of the city's population, particularly in the amalgamated municipalities of Vale East and Rayside Balfour and historically in the Moulin-à-Fleur neighbourhood. The French culture is celebrated with the Franco-Ontarian flag, recognized by the province as an official emblem, which was created in 1975 by a group of teachers at Laurentian University and after some controversy has flown at Tom Davis Square since 2006. The large Francophone community plays a central role in developing and maintaining many of the cultural institutions of Sudbury, including the Centre du Nouvel Ontario, La Nuit sur la Copyright Tang, La Galerie du Nouvel Ontario, Le Centre Franco-Ontarian de Folklore and the Prise de Parole Publishing Company. The city hosted Les Jeux de la Francophonie Canadienne in 2011. Zig's, the city's prominent gay business, is the only gay bar in all of Northern Ontario. The city's LGBT community has also staged an annual Sudbury Pride Festival since 1997. Literature. Notable works of literature themed or set primarily or partially in Sudbury or its former suburbs include Robert J. Sawyer's Neanderthal Parallax Trilogy, Alistair MacLeod's novel No Great Mischief, Paul Quarrington's Logan in Overtime and Jean-Marc Dalpa Copyright S-Play 1932, La Ville du Nickel and his short story collection Consage Bureau. The city is also fictionalized as Chinookville in several books by American comedy writer Jack Douglas. Noted writers who have lived in Sudbury include playwrights Jean-Marc Dalpa Copyright, Sandra Schermers and Bridget Henchens, poets Robert Dixon, Roger Nash and Margaret Christakos, fiction writers Kelly Armstrong, Sean Costello, Sarah Selecki, Matthew Haiti and Jeffrey Round, journalist Mick Lowe and academics Richard E. Bennett, Michelle Bock, Rand Ike, Graham S. Mount and Gary Kinsman. Music. Sudbury unregistered trademark. Most successful artists have predominantly been in the country, folk and country rock genres. These include Robert Paquette, Kate Markey, Nathan Lau, Gilbert Grand, Kevin Kloss, CANO, Jake Matthews, Loma Linz, Alex J. Robinson, Chuck Label, and Ox. The rap metal band Project Wise is also based in Sudbury. High-profile musicians play at the Sudbury Community Arena. Bell Park's outdoor Grace Hartman Amphitheatre and Laurentian University's Fraser Auditorium are sometimes used for summer bookings. Smaller touring indie rock bands, as well as some local musicians, are usually booked at the Townhouse Tavern, while local bands play a number of small music venues across the city. The city is also home to annual music festivals including Sudbury Summerfest, the Northern Lights Festival Bora Copyright Owl and La Nuit sur la Copyright Tang. The local Sudbury Symphony Orchestra performs 6 annual concerts of classical music. One of Stompin' Tom Connor's most famous songs, Sudbury Saturday Night, depicts the hard-drinking, hard-partying social life of hard rock miners of Sudbury. Miriam Linner, who drummed in the Cramps, Nervous Rex and the A-Bones, was also born in Sudbury. Film and television. Sudbury has an emerging film and television industry, with a number of projects filming in the city in the 2000s. Development of an active film and television production industry in Northern Ontario was initially undertaken by Signer Copyright Fest, the city's annual film festival, in the early 1990s, and is currently overseen by Music and Film in Motion, a non-profit organisation based in Sudbury. Projects filmed in the city have included the films Roadkill, Shania, A Life in 8 Albums, The Truth, The Lesser Blessed, Ice Soldiers and Men with Brooms. Television series filmed in the city include, Ma Copyright Tar Copyright O+, Les Blies de Ramville, Hard Rock Medical and Dark Rising, Warrior of Worlds. March Entertainment Studio in Sudbury has produced a number of animated television series, including Chili Beach, Maple Shorts, Yam Roll, and Dex Hamilton, Alien Entomologist. Sudbury is also home to the Science North production team, an award-winning producer of documentary films and multimedia presentations for museums. Independent filmmaker B.P. Parkett and producer Jason Ross Jollett are based in Sudbury. Inner City Films, a production company owned by Sudbury native Robert Aitoi, also has a production office in the city, as does Carte Blanche Films, the producer of Ma Copyright Tar Copyright O+, Les Blues de Ramville and Hard Rock Medical. Attractions. Science North is an interactive science museum and Northern Ontario's most popular tourist attraction with around 287,000 visitors per year. It consists of 2 snowflake-shaped buildings on the southwestern shore of Lake Ramsey and just south of the city's downtown core. There is also a former ice hockey arena on a Eurosite, which includes the complex's entrance and an IMAX theatre. The snowflake buildings are connected by a rock tunnel, which passes through a billion-year-old geologic fault. Sudbury's mining heritage is reflected in another major tourist attraction, Dynamic Earth. This interactive science museum focuses principally on geology and mining history exhibitions and is also home to the Big Nickel, one of Sudbury's most famous landmarks. The city is also home to the Greater Sudbury Heritage Museums, a group of historical community museums, and a mining heritage monument overlooking the city's Bell Park. The Inco superstack was the world's tallest freestanding chimney in the world at 380 until the construction of the Ekabastos GRES-2 power station, and is currently the second tallest structure in Canada after the CN Tower. It is almost the same height as the roof of the Empire State Building. Sports. The city is represented in ice hockey by the Sudbury Wolves of the Ontario Hockey League who play at the Sudbury Community Arena. The Sudbury Spartans Football Club have played in the Northern Football Conference since 1954. Laurentian University participates in the Canadian Inter-University Sport League by the Laurentian Voyageurs and the Laurentian Lady Vs. Cambrian College is represented in the Canadian Colleges Athletic Association by the Cambrian Golden Shield, and College E. Bowra Copyright Owl is represented by the Bowra Copyright Owl Viperez. High school students compete in the Sudbury District Secondary School Athletic Association, which is a division of Northern Ontario Secondary School Athletics. The city hosted the IAAF World Junior Championships in Athletics in 1988, the Brier, Canada's annual men's curling championships, in 1953 and 1983, the 2001 Scott Tournament of Hearts, the Women's Curling Championship and the 2010 Ontario Summer Games. Sudbury has many trails that are used year-round. The Sudbury Trail Plan grooms almost 1,200 km of trails for snowmobiles in the winter. 23 kilometers of diverse hiking, biking, and jogging trails are found in the Lake Laurentian Conservation Area near downtown. Other trails link Sudbury to areas outside of the city including the Trans-Canada Trail, which passes through the city, and the Voyageur Hiking Trail. The city is also home to Sudbury Downs, a harness racing track located in Isilda. Government. From the City Hall at Tom Davis Square, the city is headed by 12 council members and 1 mayor, both elected every 4 years. The current mayor is Marianne Matikic, who defeated John Rodriguez in the 2010 municipal election. The 2011 operating budget for Greater Sudbury was $471 a million, and the city employs 2,006 full-time workers. The Provincial Ministry of Northern Development, Mines and Forestry has its head office in the city. The city is represented federally by New Democratic Party members of Parliament Glenn Thibault in the Sudbury riding, and Claude Gravel in Nickel Belt. Their counterparts in the Legislative Assembly of Ontario are Ontario New Democratic Party members of Provincial Parliament Joe Cimino in Sudbury and Francois Copyright-Leaners in Nickel Belt. Both federal and provincial politics in the city tend to be dominated by the Liberal and New Democratic parties. Historically, the Liberals have been stronger in the urban Sudbury riding, with the New Democrats dominant in the more rural Nickel Belt, although both ridings have elected members of both parties at different times. Healthcare: Greater Sudbury serves as the healthcare centre for much of northeastern Ontario through Health Sciences North. Sudbury is also the site of the Regional Cancer Programme, which treats cancer patients from across the north. In 1968, the first successful coronary artery bypass surgery in Canada was performed at Sudbury Memorial Hospital. Adult mental health services are also provided to the area through Health Sciences North, primarily at the Kirkwood site and at the Cedar site downtown. Children's mental health services are provided through the Regional Children's Psychiatric Centre operated by the Northeast Mental Health Centre, located on site at the Kirkwood site of Health Sciences North. City and Emergency Services: Greater Sudbury is served by the Greater Sudbury Police Service, headquartered in downtown Sudbury. There is also a detachment of the Ontario Provincial Police located in the McFarlane Lake area of the city's south end. Greater Sudbury Emergency Medical Services provides pre-hospital paramedic services with over 150 full-time and part-time paramedics. Greater Sudbury Fire Services operates from 24 fire stations located throughout the city, with a combination 107 career staff and 350 volunteer firefighters. Prior to the municipal amalgamation of 2001, most of the suburban towns were served by separate volunteer fire departments, which were amalgamated into the citywide service as part of the municipal restructuring. The municipally owned energy provider Greater Sudbury Utilities serves the city's urban core, while rural areas in the city continue to be served by Hydro One. Communities: the city of Sudbury and its suburban communities were reorganized into the Regional Municipality of Sudbury in 1973, which was subsequently merged in 2001 into the single-tier city of Greater Sudbury. In common usage, the city is still generally referred to as Sudbury, and often the amalgamated municipalities are still referred to by name and continue in some respects to maintain their own distinct identities. Each of the 7 former municipalities encompasses numerous smaller neighborhoods. Amalgamated cities include Sudbury and Vale East. Towns include Braeside Balfour, Nickel Centre, Walden, Ernaping Falls, and Capital. The One-Up area, formerly an unincorporated settlement outside of Sudbury's old city limits, was also annexed into the city in 2001, along with a largely wilderness area on the northeastern shore of Lake Wahnapitae. Transportation: Greater Sudbury is the only census division in northern Ontario that maintains a system of numbered municipal roads, similar to the county road system in the southern part of the province. There are 3 highways connecting Sudbury to the rest of Ontario. Highway 17 is the main branch of the Trans-Canada Highway, connecting the city to points east and west. An approximately 21-kilometre segment of Highway 17, from Micola to Whitefish, is freeway. The highway bypasses the city via 2 separately constructed roads, the southwest and southeast bypasses, that form a partial ring road around the southern end of the city's urban core for traffic traveling through Highway 17. The former alignment of Highway 17 through the city is now Municipal Road 55. Highway 69, also a branch of the Trans-Canada Highway, leads south to Parry Sound, where it connects to the Highway 400 freeway to Toronto. Highway 400 is being extended to Greater Sudbury and is scheduled for completion in 2017. Highway 144 leads north to Highway 101 into Minns. The Greater Sudbury Airport maintains 2 paved runways 20-12 meters and 15-24 meters in length and serves 179,380 passengers per year. The airport is served by 3 regional carrier lines: Air Canada Jazz to the Toronto Pearson International Airport, Porter Airlines to the Billy Bishop Toronto City Airport, and Bearskin Airlines to the Ottawa Macdonald-Cartier International Airport, as well as several destinations in northern Ontario including Kapuskasing, North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, Timmins, and Thunder Bay. Intercity train service in Sudbury is provided by Via Rail, with the Canadian between Toronto and Vancouver and the Sudbury-White River train, both 3 times a week. It is also served by intercity bus services Greyhound Canada and Ontario Northland Motor Coach services. The city maintains a bus-based public transit system, Greater Sudbury Transit, transporting 4.4 million passengers in 2012. Education. Greater Sudbury is home to 3 post-secondary institutions: Laurentian University, a primarily undergraduate bilingual university with approximately 9,000 students, Cambrian College, an English college of applied arts and technology with 4,500 full-time and 7,500 part-time students, and College E. Bora Copyright AL, a francophone college with 2,000 enrolled. Laurentian University is home to the Sudbury campus of the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. NOSM was the first medical school to be established in Canada in 30 years, having opened in September 2005. On September 4, 2013, Laurentian opened the Northern Ontario School of Architecture in downtown Sudbury, the first new architecture school to launch in Canada in more than 40 years. English language public schooling is provided by the Rainbow District School Board. The board operates 27 elementary and 7 secondary schools in Sudbury, 1 school for students with special needs, and the Cecil Fazer Youth Centre for Young Offenders. The Sudbury Catholic District School Board offers publicly funded English language Catholic education, with 20 elementary schools, 4 high schools and an adult education centre. French language public schools are administered by the Conseil Scolaire District du Grand Nord de l'Ontario with 7 elementary and 2 secondary schools and 1 alternative secondary school. Finally, the Conseil Scolaire District Catholique du Nouvel Ontario provides publicly funded French language Catholic education, with 15 elementary, 4 secondary schools, and 1 adult education secondary school. There are also 2 Christian private schools, as well as 2 Montessori schools. The Greater Sudbury Public Library System has 13 branches throughout the city. The library system had 600,000 items as of 2011 and over 50% of the resident population are active library users. Media. As the largest city in northern Ontario, Greater Sudbury is the region's primary media centre. Due to the relatively small size of the region's individual media markets, most of the region is served at least partially by Sudbury-based media. CICI-TV produces almost all local programming on the CTV Northern Ontario system, and the CBC radio station CBCS-FM and CBON-FM broadcast to the entire region through extensive rebroadcaster networks. As well, most of the commercial radio stations in northeastern Ontario's smaller cities simulcast programming produced in Sudbury for at least a portion of their programming schedules, particularly in weekend and evening slots. Sudbury has 2 local newspapers. The Sudbury Star, owned by Quebecor's Sun Media Division, is published 6 days a week and has a weekday circulation of 17,530 as of 2006. And the Northern Life, which publishes twice a week and has a weekday circulation of 45,761 as of 2009. Notable people. Notable people from Sudbury include television game show Jeopardy! Host Alex Trebek, Toronto Maple Leafs head coach Randy Carlyle, and Olympian Alex Bowman, who won 2 gold medals and set 2 world records in swimming. Sudbury has produced 81 NHL hockey players, a number larger than any European city, including Hockey Hall of Fame inductees George Armstrong and Art Ross. See also, List of tallest buildings in Greater Sudbury, List of historic places in Greater Sudbury, List of francophone communities in Ontario, references. Further reading, Oiva W. Saarinen. From Meteorite Impact to Constellation City, A Historical Geography of Greater Sudbury, external links. City of Greater Sudbury, Greater Sudbury Development Corporation.